There's a ship approaching. It just lost their steering.
Tonight, the catastrophic bridge collapse in Baltimore.
The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way.
The president speaking out on helping rebuild the economy in Maryland.
The FDA violated federal law and its duty to keep women safe.
Plus, oral arguments today in Washington, D.C., as the Supreme Court decides whether to keep a major abortion pill on the market. And back here in Missouri, your guide to the municipal elections in Columbia next week. This is KOMU 8 News at 5.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Search and rescue teams say as many as 6 people are still missing after a bridge collapse near the Port of Baltimore. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Freeman.
And I'm Evie Allen. Thanks so much for joining us. Just after pulling away from the port, a fully loaded container ship bound for Sri Lanka slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, dropping the interstate bridge into the river. Authorities say commuters and a maintenance crew were on the roadway at the time. NBC's Jay Gray is at the bridge with the latest.
An intense rescue and recovery effort continues in the bitter cold waters of the Patapsco River right now. Teams searching for survivors after the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge overnight.
The bridge is gone. Holy.
Here's what we know at this point. The crew on board this massive container ship apparently lost control of the vessel minutes after leaving the Port of Baltimore, issuing a mayday call, warning they'd lost power and propulsion. Security video shows lights blinking and smoke climbing from the ship just before crashing into a center support column on the bridge, the iconic structure crumbling.
As units were responding, they began to receive numerous calls indicating multiple people in the water.
A crew doing routine maintenance, filling potholes, and several vehicles were on the bridge as it collapsed. 2 of the workers quickly pulled to safety, but authorities acknowledge several people are still missing.
Our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible accident and all the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime.
President Biden promising the full support and resources of the federal government in the wake of the tragedy. Jay Gray, NBC News, Baltimore.
Right now, KOMU 8's Hunter Walterman is in Baltimore.
He's been watching the latest developments unfold and filed this report for us.
I got here early afternoon, and right behind me is where the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed overnight, and there's a massive response. Obviously, there's a lot of media attention. You can see all of the reporters' cars right behind me here, but there's also a big response from local, state, and federal authorities. All day today, I've seen U.S. Coast Guard helicopters circling the area, and the Coast Guard is leading the search and recovery operations. The chair of the National Transportation Safety Board is also here, along with a more than 20-person team to investigate the collision and the bridge collapse. I've also seen members of Baltimore's FBI field office. And there are 6 people who are still unaccounted for. Maryland Governor Wes Moore was here today, and he and other local elected leaders emphasized that this is still a search and rescue operation and that the focus is on trying to finding those 6 people who are unaccounted for. Moore says he spoke with the families this morning.
Had the opportunity to pray with them and pray for them. And the strength of these families is absolutely remarkable. And we want to let them know that we are here with you every single step of the way.
Local leaders say that after finding the 6 people who are missing, the next top priorities are trying to reopen Baltimore Harbor, which is a major thoroughfare for not just this area, but the entire U.S. economy, and rebuilding the bridge. Reporting in Baltimore, Hunter Walterman, KOMU 8 News.
President Joe Biden made a brief statement earlier today. Now, he vowed to use federal funds for recovery and rebuilding efforts after the collapse of the Key Bridge in Maryland. He said the administration is moving to act quickly, given the importance of the Port of Baltimore to the state's economy.
850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year, and we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port, and we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers.
Representatives from Maryland also spoke out about the impact of the bridge's loss and gratitude that more people were not hurt.
It's absolutely critical to commuters. There are 14,000 cars a day. Thank God that this didn't happen during the day.
To give you some perspective on the size of the ship, it's 984 feet, and that's roughly equal to the Empire State Building laying on its side.